In this video, we'll be baling hay on my newly planted field for the first time. We seeded alfalfa this spring, along with oats as a nurse crop. Things got off to a slow start with near record rainfall, but it's ready for our first cutting now. We'll make plenty of mistakes and lessons learned, as this is all a first time for me. I'll show the full process start to finish of cutting and baling hay, along with round and square bales. It'll be exciting to see how much we can make. Now it's June 15th and this is what the oats look like. Some are starting to head out and the seeds are starting to show. Some are way more behind. The alfalfa stand is not that good. It's fairly inconsistent. We'll see what the stand looks like after we cut this. It grows back. Maybe I should come in and try and no-till some seed in here, because if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it the first year.
Oh, keep going. Good, you're there.
Today's Sunday, we have Monday, and then Tuesday late afternoon into the evening it's going to start raining. But we have 90-degree highs and about 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts here, so this stuff's going to dry out really fast. But I like how the sickle bar is cutting. There's not too much alfalfa down here, unfortunately. This 10 acres is pretty rough. There's spots that are really good, but overall the field's, I would say, poor stand. When you do like a 1 square by 1 square and count how many alfalfa plants there are, it's so inconsistent. So now this is the 5 acres and this looks so much better in terms of the alfalfa stand. There's so many more plants. Look into here, you can see how much more is in here. This was way better seed to soil contact and better planting conditions. And over here the oats are so much more even and thicker, and it'll be really good that we're cutting it now so the alfalfa can come up. And we set the sickle bar to be cutting probably that high, so you don't want to cut too low with this. There's no point. Grant's flying. Grant knocked out the 5 acres real quick, then started on the waterway in the bean field. The grass was really thick and also a windy day, so the sickle bar didn't cut the best. It'll bunch up and trip, but we got it cut in the end, even though it didn't look too pretty. Grant's got a bottom triangle patch, about 4 to 5 acres, that he tried to cut as well, but it was even thicker than the waterway, and the sickle bar was plugging up. So we left that, and we'll come back for it another time. Now, in a perfect world, I would have waited a couple more weeks to cut the oats and alfalfa. They had a little bit more to grow, but the forecast looked like there was a little window here to cut, dry down, and bale. Then there was going to be 10 days of off and on rain. And so I decided that was going to be a good opportunity to come in with a drill to put in some more alfalfa and grass mix in the bare spots. So we borrowed a neighbor's planting setup. The nice part was the tractor has GPS, so we were able to see the passes we already did and know where to go and where not to. The drill was 10 feet wide. It was a no-till drill. We threw in some Versagrass mix as well with the alfalfa to help fill in the poor stand. Now, prior to that, we borrowed a neighbor's wheel rake and we got some windrows made up. It wasn't very thick, so it dried pretty quick, but it still wasn't too good of conditions, and we had rain coming a day earlier than I thought. So as we were hustling to get done seeding, the neighbor also came over with his round baler and got those windrows picked up. Well, we got pretty lucky, and you can see it's raining off in the distance a few miles away. We got all the work done, seeds in the ground, and bales were made before it started to rain. Now, the bales weren't totally dry, and they were a bit wet, so they probably weren't going to store good over the long term. So the neighbor came, picked them up with the loader and trailer, and I think we filled about his trailer with, I want to say, 8 or 10 bales. So that worked out good, and he was able to feed them to his cattle. After the first cut and interseeding, we let Mother Nature do its thing, and we're back here about 40 days later in late July to get our second cutting of hay. Now we're able to see if our interseeding will pay off. And we also need to hurry once again with a small window to cut, rake, and bale before more rain comes. We got great weather with alfalfa that was there, really started to take off, and the new seeding is just starting to pop through and showing in the bare spots. The drill was 7-inch spacing, and on this line you can see a bit of the Versagrass with the alfalfa, which is awesome to see. Now, doing the first cut so early, the oats had enough energy to come back a second time. We also had some weeds in the field, but all in all, I'm really happy with how this is coming together and excited for next year when my knee is healthy and I can square bale the whole field. It's now time for second cut before the oats start to dry down and lose its green.
The alfalfa in spots is about knee high. It's not blooming or anything yet, and we could probably wait another week or two on the alfalfa, but I want to get the oats while they're still green. But it looks like they're in the milk stage. You can see that. Anyway, the first time we came and cut these, we cut them too early. We should have waited longer, but I saw a nice window and it looked like it was going to rain a bunch, and I got a little antsy. So in hindsight, we should have waited a little longer. For the oats came back. We cut them too early. So the ones that we did cut had enough steam, enough energy to go ahead again, and then some were still behind. So there's a little bit of weeds in here too. I haven't sprayed it or anything, obviously, with the oats as the nurse crop.
Now, this isn't my tractor or mower that we're using here. Grant bought this 4020 about a week ago, and it's got the power shift transmission and side console. He always said if one came up with all those features in good condition for a reasonable price that he'd buy it. So we hauled it home the other day, and the disc mower is a neighbor's, and I'm borrowing it for this cut, and I found out it works a lot better than the Sickle bar.
We can see our new seeding of alfalfa that we did, which is awesome to see. And this is just a random spot, we can see it now. But there's new growth underneath here, so I want to give this a shot. We aren't even cutting it off yet. And this is what I'm talking about. This is us coming in with the no-till drill, no-till seeder. And anything that's vertical, that's the seeder coming through. Like, that's new growth. All this is new growth. Then you can see the grass in there too. So, see that line? And another line. That stuff should really start taking off. We got Grant in the tractor. My knee's still pretty bad. Fortunately, that's a power shift, so I should be able to run it just fine. But I think he wanted any excuse to run his new tractor he just bought. Waiting for the dew to cook off. We'll go run and knock out a short waterway. This is mowing really good. It's 7 feet long. It's a John Deere 265 disc mower. And then the yellow there, I think that's from the orange, that's from the rust from the oats.
And no matter how thick the grass is, it seems to lay it down just fine. Here we came back for the 4-acre triangle that we couldn't get last time.
I got the 2 hay racks hauled up here, and I mentioned in one of my last videos that the dually got stolen. It did. It was last fall,
It's July now, and I got it back. So I'll have a whole story and video kind of going over that whole situation. This hay rack, we should be able to comfortably fit 250. You could probably squeeze 300 if you go like 6 or 7 high. And then the little one back there, we can get 150 on there. This is 9 foot wide, so you can fit a lot more bales side to side, and then it's 21, 22 feet long. Pretty heavy duty, made out of steel I-beams, and it's in hydrous tank gear. The neighbor Luke is here tedding. It's about 11 o'clock. He's using a Vermeer tedder, and it's like 4,000 John Deere. So the idea behind a tedder is you can see it picks it up and then throws it up in the air and fluffs it up. We're kind of missing some sun right now. Sun's been blocked by clouds all morning. There was a little bit of dew, so I think we're about perfect time where the alfalfa leaves won't come off as bad. Nothing's ever perfect, but that is the idea. Flying the drone, had it time lapsing, and it runs out of battery and lands itself on the hay rack. The remote's right there. I totally forgot about it. That's so nice. It can land itself anywhere.
Really slow. Really slow on the edges. It'll throw it out.
And like here's a good example of, we had pretty heavy dew last night this morning, and we drove over it. It flips it over real nice and airs it up. We have, now it's perfect conditions. We got like 50-mile-an-hour winds, sunny out. We'll have them round bale some of the grass here. There's quite a bit of weeds in it. I might come square bale some. It's the next morning. It was pretty foggy and dewy, so we're kind of waiting for that to get cooked off. And I bought a moisture tester. So we packed a bunch of hay in there real tight, 5-gallon pail. Simulate a bale. Looks like we're at 29%. We'll let it sit there for a couple more minutes, get it to adjust, but that's probably the best test we can do without making a bale. Sun's just coming out, wind's blowing. This will dry down. My understanding is you want at most 20%, and it'll be nice to have that tester, because then I'll understand, like, I understand what dry is, but from the touch sometimes if it's iffy. Borrowing the same rake we used last time. It's a neighbor's 4-wheel rake, and then we're gonna use Grant's tractor. Sun's just coming up, clouds are clearing, so this will be dry by the time we're done, ready to bale. Nice part is with my knee, the power shift, don't have to use my leg, don't have to use the clutch. Got the 10 acres raked. Now we're over on the 5. This should be dry, but still a little damp. The wind isn't, on this side, the wind isn't blowing. Everything's raked up in windrows. It's about 3 in the afternoon now, and the sun's been out for a few hours. This is really my first time working with alfalfa, as the first cut was mainly just oats. We're hooked up to the baler, followed behind with the big rack. They say 18 to 20 is your max. Pump out a couple bales and see what the difference is.
Okay, 18.5.
And curious to see how much we get per acre. This will be a lot easier to measure. I know this field's 5, that field's like 10.5. Same thing as last time. I'm gonna be in the tractor. Grant and Josie are gonna be on the back. I still have a bad knee. I can walk around, but I can't move too good.
Ready to roll. If this isn't all the way turning black, dark gray, we got an issue.
That little wheel. Well, that didn't work out, and here I am explaining that the bales we were making are reading 35% on the moisture tester, and they weighed 100 pounds each. I then had the smart idea to combine the windrows in hopes that by the time I was done doing that, they would be dried down enough, even though it was 85% humidity and partly cloudy now. I ended up going back over everything, doubling up the rows, and it was just way too wet. So sun's out, it's not perfectly sunny, there's a little bit of clouds. Now I hooked back up to the baler and gave it a second shot here. So that was a learning lesson for me, and the hay didn't dry down anymore after re-raking it and putting it in windrows. It was just too wet and the baler didn't like it. So we ended up having to hit the windrow with the tedder to spread it back out, and then the next morning we came when the dew was off to re-rake it all in hope that it was dry enough. Because coming quick that evening, we have thunderstorms rolling in. So I was pretty bummed out and didn't record any of it, so we'll skip to the next day baling. All right, we're going good now. The hay's all dry and everything. I didn't get the first part because we just went. Neighbors round baling right now too, all the stuff we aren't gonna be able to fit. It ended up dry and nice. We have like a thunderstorm all tonight, like 100% chance of rain. We had an issue with one of the knotters on the square baler, but thankfully our neighbor who was round baling was just about to leave when that happened, and he finished up the rest of the field before the rain was coming. On our way home, we went through a torrential downpour, but at least we were lucky to have the hay on the rack. Only the outside bales got wet, and I was able to pull it out the next couple days when the sun came out. Now I got to return some of the equipment that we borrowed and count our bales. This rake isn't mine. I'm borrowing it from a neighbor's, and then also the mower and the tedder, all those things I borrowed, which is really nice. It's been super handy and very fortunate that I'm able to borrow this stuff, because right now I'm just figuring out what type of equipment I need mainly for next year when I'm ready to go. And it was super handy to have Mark the neighbor come and round bale this, so kind of saved my butt twice now, round baling right before the rain comes. So now it's 3 days after baling, and we got like 4 to 5 inches of rain after we baled, so we got really lucky. We got out of there and the hay dried down when it did, so letting these bales sweat that off a little bit here. These are 5 foot by 5 foot round bales. I think that's like 1,300 to 1,500 pounds. So we made 21 round bales. About 8 or 9 of those are going to be grass, 10, and then 11 will be the oats and alfalfa. I'm on the 10 acres here. So we had to quit square baling because when I tied a knot on to a new string or roll, it plugged up, which was actually very fortunate because it downpoured like an hour later. So Bryce knows how to fix it, the neighbor here.
Pop it up and
So it's something super simple you can do.
yeah, you just gotta get that knot to work off of because the bill hook. Really, what you got is you just got a bunch of knots here.
Well, when that happens again, it should be an easy fix. I'll know what to do. Grab a flathead screwdriver, slide the knot off the bill hook and all the other stuff that's tangled up, and it'll start tying again. Pretty simple. So in total, between first and second cutting, we made just about 30 round bales and 200 small squares. We'll see if we can get a third cutting in here before frost comes. It's now the beginning of August, and we've gotten good rains here, so it should produce. Just don't want to cut it close enough to the first frost and lose some of the stand to winter kill. All in all, made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot of lessons, and I'm excited to see how this grows, if it chokes out all the weeds, and how much alfalfa we can get. And obviously I couldn't have done anything in this video without my family's help and also neighbors lending a hand. I should be 100% ready to go by next spring, and I'm just getting back into the swing of things for this fall and harvest. I had a big knee surgery at the end of May, so we're just recovering from that.